Dragon Age Origins is a hellish nightmare to play, and I love every second of it. As an old generation console game that came out in late 2009, this game is an art form. Following the style of similar games such as Fable, this RPG puts you in the shoes of a warrior fighting against an ancient evil known as the Blight by becoming a Grey Warden. If that sounds like a confusing start, it's because this game is filled with more lore and original ideas than there are Stephen King novels. From original religions to deep-rooted dwarf lore, this game has it all. The first big lore cutscene reveals to us how terrible the Blight threat actually is. With an entire army outnumbering the last true resistance against the Reign of Terror, otherwise known as the Crusade for Gucci Water, before we go further, I should probably explain what a Blight is. A Blight within the Dragon Age universe is a swarm of evil creatures led by an archdemon, otherwise known as a really big fucking dragon. This dragon wishes to rain havoc across the land of Ferelden in order to get that sweet, sweet Gucci water as aforementioned. As our men make their stand against the Blight, the king's second Loghain, who was controlling the army that was meant to flank the Blight, betrays the king, leading to a massacre of the king and his army. As one of the last survivors of the battle, we are now tasked with either siding with Loghain, the new king, to end the Blight, or forming our own army to overthrow Loghain and take out the remaining Blight. Of course, me being me and never allowing sanity in my life, I sided against Loghain and decided on my own army. In order to have any chance of winning, I would need 4 different groups to join my cause. One would be the archdemon and his army of loyal human soldiers. But after hearing a rumor that he had fallen ill, suspiciously a couple days before the old king's army was massacred, it seems all hope is lost. But fortunately, we can use the holy ashes of an old dead woman to cure him. These ashes were found atop a mountain and guarded by a cult who really don't appreciate it when I murder everyone in their small town. Once the ashes were found, we returned to the Arl, cured him, and his son, who was possessed by a demon. That I had politely forgot to mention. This leads us to our second required group, which is the mages. Mages use arcane magic to heal, kill, and attract a mate like a peacock. Here, we can not only gain an important companion to join my battle party, but an incredible headache as we are forced to traverse the poorest made building ever. Like seriously, this place sucks. It sucks so much, in fact, that my in-game character passes out from exhaustion and saves the circle of magi from the sloth demon as a side quest just to avoid this god-awful building. After saving them and forcing the sorcerers into my army, we traveled back up to the mountains in order to acquire our third group of warriors, dwarves. Dwarves are funny because they are small, but also are incredible blacksmiths that forge the best armor in the game and have the heart of true warriors. It's truly unfortunate they have decided that politics are more important than the fight for Gucci water. Due to this, I took it upon myself to kill half the dwarves' political parties in order to allow the one with the best warriors to join my army. They also had a weird golem fetish, which I disposed of properly because I believe in equality amongst armies, which is why A, I kept one golem for myself, and B, I decided that an entire tribe of elves that became werewolves should fight alongside me. These are Dalish elves, a rival tribe of my elf bloodline, and because of this, I had predetermined that whatever their leader said that I needed to do, I would blatantly ignore and instead sided with their enemy, the werewolves. The werewolves were angry because they had been cursed and taken away from their elf form by the Dalish leader. The Dalish were angry because the werewolves had decided that life was not in the cards for the remaining elves, and after a fierce battle of words between me and, her, she won for no particular 2 reasons that were staring me right in the face. Now that we had had all 4 parts of my army, the Arl's fearsome warriors, which I had geared up with some spare change, the circle of magi, who I had geared up with some shiny rocks I stole from some dead golems I found, dwarves, who were equipped with gemstones that I once again borrowed from some golems, and finally, elves, who had been forced to be equipped with random twigs I found on the ground next to, you guessed it, more dead golems. With the army I needed to stop the forces of evil and win the crusade for Gucci water, I now needed to begin phase 2 of my plan, unaliving Loghain and putting my own heir on the throne. For this, I have 2 real options. Either Alistair, who, although I have been wooing him for months and would be best suited for the throne, considering his royal blood and combat experience, or I could go with Honora, the previous king's wife, also known as the Queen, who is low-key a nerd. Before this, I would need support from other nobles to appoint me more power over the Landsmeet. The Lands Meet is a meeting where I will have to convince everyone that I'm right and they're wrong and not the main character. Arriving at my hometown in order to gain Noble's favor and assist my homies, we talked to our old friend Shiani and learned that a horrible plague has overtaken our small alienage. Along with this awesome fact, the new Arl of this area has been offering very fake curses in order to punish what's left of the elves here. Logain, on top of this, has been selling healthy elves into slavery across the sea after breaking in and finding the culprit, a blood mage. I break his legs and steal stone cold evidence against Logain that we will use in the Lands Meet for the better. Afterward, all we had left was to attend the meet, and on we went. As we calmly approached the doors, Logain's lackey threatened me and my homies with violence if we weren't peaceful heading in. I calmly pointed out the irony within the situation, and she tried to stab me. So I removed her head and went into the Lands Meet covered in blood and what I can assume to be excrement. Logain was making the argument that I was evil and unfit to put our boy Alistair on the throne. I retorted that he looked like a poopy head, to which he took offense and called his armies upon me. I disposed of them and then dropped Logain as Alistair's champion in battle, and at long last it was over. I had won. With Alistair on the throne and 4 full armies at my side, I was ready for the final challenge of this now 30-hour-long game, killing the really big fucking dragon. In the name of Gucci Water, of course. The plan was to go in with the armies, take out both generals, and then climb the giant tower and slay the dragon. However, this dragon's a little slipperier than most. He would have to be killed by a Grey Warden. This is because the dragon's soul will be sucked into the Grey Warden and kills the archdemon, and both the dragon and the warden will be killed in the process. Not feeling like death is really an option, I decided on dollar store blood magic from my shape-shifting mage friend Morgan, whose plan was for a warden to sleep with her to bear a child that the soul of the archdemon would go into. Completing that mouthful, we digress. After finding one general going shopping for apples and the other in the alienage, we climbed the tower of Fort Dracon to meet the hardest and final boss of the game, the really big fucking dragon. By difficult, I mean I kinda sat on a ballista and clicked A like 20 times till I needed a heal, and then of course I would. But it really was not that difficult of a fight. Afterward, all my deeds for the game had been laid out Fallout style, and the dragon had been laid to waste. The crusade for Gucci Water had been won, and I was left with the horizon and the fruits of my labor. If you haven't played Dragon Age Origins before, I highly recommend it. There's not been a game in years that I've instantly loved every second with, and this game fills every box. Between lore-driven cutscenes to unique combat and some of the best voice acting I've ever seen in a video game, it puts other games to shame. Please check it out. That's all for this video, guys. I love you all. Bye.